This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good morning, Andrea, Goulet. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful morning?
I'm doing really good. How are you? Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, it's a great pleasure to have you. I'm great. It's a great day in Trinidad and Tobago. Thanks for being here. What part of the world are you in right now?
I am in Richmond, Virginia.
All right. Which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history?
I think that this was Bobby with Innovation Women. Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of speaking. And so, Bobby's been great. So I think she was the one who made the connection.
Yeah. She definitely did. But I'm guessing it's something that you do, some talent that you have.
So the thing that I've been really focused on lately is how to get people who don't code more confident in their technical skills, and the people who do spend a lot of time interacting with machines to feel more confident with their social skills and their people skills. And the reason that this has been a passion of mine is because it's a lived experience. About 10 years ago, a good friend of mine from high school and I reconnected. And he came up to me and said, I've been reading your blog about marketing and communications, and I just wanted to let you know you're a software developer, but you don't know it. And I was really confused. And he said, the way you think about communications, it's all about algorithms and patterns and logic, and you've set up all these different templates and you're pulling variables in. He goes, that's what programmers do. And by the way, I started a business about a year ago, and I don't understand anything about marketing and sales and business, and I really need some help. So would you come on board and be my CEO?
Wow.
Yeah. And so it was a really amazing experience kind of diving into the software world, not really ever expecting that I would. And also having somebody who had so much confidence in me that no, you really can have this. You can code. I believe in you. Because I had always thought, software, that's for those, people who just are born out of the womb knowing how to code. Right? I didn't think that I would ever be somebody who could have access to that skill. And then actually, so over the years, we developed a really deep friendship, and we got married 3 years after that. So yeah.
I need to speak with this guy. Hi.
Yeah, his name's Scott. He's great. So he's actually just on the other side of the room.
Sweet. What's his name?
What's his name? His name is Scott Ford.
All right.
Yeah.
Hello, Scott Ford. All right. So this is the Corgibytes. How do you pronounce the name of it?
Corgibytes. Yeah. So Scott had a corgi, Ein, who just passed away last year, but she was a big part of our lives. And so, so now she lives on in the business. So we focus on modernizing software applications. And what's really interesting, and I didn't expect, was that the reason that software becomes kind of older and harder to work with and a little bit clunkier is just as much about communication as it is about the technology. In fact, almost more so. So it's given me a platform to speak directly to software engineers about good communication practices. And so I've been able to use my 20 years of marketing experience. And I was a copywriter for years. So, there's a joke in the software space that there's only two difficult problems in software: naming things, cache invalidation, and off by one errors. And so when I heard that, I was like, you think naming things is hard? I can do that. That's what I've done for 20 years. And so now it's helping engineers think about skills like empathy. Because just like I had this challenge of feeling like I was born to a fixed mindset where I had I just couldn't code, right? That was a mental block that I had. I found that so many people who naturally lean towards a more analytic mindset internalize this myth and this lie and this stereotype that they don't have empathy, which is completely false. And so using skills such as cognitive empathy, which is the rational process of attempting to understand what someone else is doing, that is used a lot in design and in user experience, but it hasn't quite made its way over to the people who are coding and engineering the systems. But that's where we need it the most, because what we see are really poor error messages, or really poor, it's not as useful as it can be, or there's no documentation about a project. And so this lack of communication and this lack of empathy is what causes software to get into a legacy state. So it's been a really fascinating ride over the past decade to explore this world that I had no idea that I would be useful in, and then to actually have something valuable to contribute.
That's amazing. Wow. You got me stuck in thought pictures there. A ton. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I love the errors that individuals, when you're programming, you can encounter, and I will equate them to arguments in communication that can occur, right? There are errors because we weren't documenting, as you said, where we have advantages or disadvantages, or what we like and what we don't like. But the coder will do that, right? In terms of, they'll know it, they'll fix it, and then they'll get it done. In communication, it's the same, isn't it? Like we could actually prevent these if we would do the same thing. The principles run across the board, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. And so, a big part of my work has been to just demonstrate that there is so much more in common, and that these skills are things that you can learn, right? You can, if you apply yourself, it might be hard. It might not be the way you're naturally wired. Just like it has been hard for me to learn how to code, but then kind of eventually I got there, right? That all of these skills are things that are skills, right? Because just like I thought, people are just born out of the womb knowing how to write an app, I had discounted the amount of work that had taken to get to that expertise. And there's a great quote. I think it's Cory Doctorow, but I'm not sure. No, that's not right. But anyway, it's that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And I'm missing I'm going to have to go look it up now. Who said that?
I love that though, because I totally agree. It feels magical. I mean, I'm speaking to you through software where I am in Trinidad and you are all the way over there, and like, how is it even possible? It's magic. It's like something you would see in Disney, right? Like
exactly.
Disney movies. Yeah,
it was Arthur C. Clarke who said that.
There we go. There's the husband getting in there. Thank you.
And so part of it was, to me, it just seemed like magic, right? And I think I would substitute in that any sufficiently advanced expertise. Because what happens is that I see somebody who's an expert in something and it just looks magical, whether or not that's coding or communications or ice skating, right? It's like, it just looks so fluid and so magical. And then you forget the thousands and thousands and thousands of hours and the falls and the mistakes and the missteps that happened to get to that place where things look effortless. And my whole goal is helping business people feel like they can get these technical skills, right? Like, you can apply yourself and you can learn how to code, and you might feel stupid. I felt so stupid. Like, imposter syndrome is just raging all the time because I'm outside of my comfort zone. But now, after a decade of some deep soul searching, I've learned that when I'm feeling imposter syndrome, that actually means that I'm on a growth path, that I'm trying something new. And that's a good thing rather than me failing. And I think so many people feel that when they get moved out of their comfort zone, right? And so for some people, they're used to working with a machine that always tells them, yes, this is the right way, or no, it's the wrong way. It's unambiguous whether or not, like when you're programming, it's either right or wrong. And with people, it's not that way. It's very complex. And so it can feel very different. But if we have somebody from that other world, like Scott was very fluent in computers, and he's like, no, I see this in you. You can be really great at this. and I'll help you. And here, take my hand. And you're not in this alone. And I did the same thing for him in this communication space and saying, you've got great ideas. You should blog about them. You should get up on stage and share your thoughts and ideas. And he's like, oh, I would never do that. That's why I hired you. It's like, but now he's starting to develop online courses, and he's starting to really kind of come out of his shell. And so I think that's how we break down these corporate silos, is we actually reach across the aisle. And I think this can go outside of organizations too. Like we see so many different places in our lives where things are so polarized, whether that's, politics or religious beliefs, right? But it's extending that hand and saying, I want to understand, and let's find a way that we can find common ground and then work together. I think that's really difficult to do when you feel like you're coming from such extremes, but that focus on empathy and learning more about other people first can be a really good tool for helping with that.
Totally agree. Amazing audience. Again, you're hearing it live from Andrea Goulet. You can connect with her. She is the founder of LegacyCode.rocks, and she hosts a podcast. Look at that. What's the name of your podcast?
So Legacy Code Rocks.
Boom!
So our whole podcast is about changing the way we think about legacy code. Right. Because in every other context, legacy is a really good thing, right? I'm my grandfather's legacy. But when we talk about legacy code, it's like this is the code that we don't like, right? So how can we change the way that legacy code is viewed so that you're leaving something behind that you're proud of?
Love it. Well, Andrea, let's switch gears for a moment now. Let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Andrea, what is your earliest childhood memory? I'm intrigued. I'd love to know.
Oh, gosh. it's folding socks with my mom. It's like, it's so mundane.
Oh, really? How old were you?
I think I must have been 5, maybe 4.
Why do you think it's so clear?
I don't know. I think my mom just has this really patient way about her, and has always been so kind and a very steady kind of rock in my life. So, I think that makes me feel like I was learning something. She was teaching me and just, feeling like I was in a safe house, kind of surrounded by love. And that's something I really cherish because I know a lot of people didn't necessarily have that when they were growing up.
Yeah. How do you see it connecting to who you are today?
Yeah. Well, I think, kind of having that foundation of feeling like I had good roots has allowed me to explore a lot of different avenues, right? So, I was able to go to college and I got my degree in marketing and then, feel like, okay, I can go over to Scott. And in a lot of ways, Scott is very similar to my mom. He actually does most of the domestic tasks around our house. Like, because as much as my mom tried to teach me to fold socks, it's still never going to be my favorite thing to do. And
who folds socks, right? Like, you could just throw those things in the drawer. Can I jump in here and offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind with that memory?
Oh, please, yeah.
I'm guessing you and your mother had conversations while you were folding socks, right? It's really challenging to be quiet while folding socks, even folding clothes. But I love that there's a mechanical side that's occurring where a task is happening. It's like the system of the programmer. And then at the same time, it's providing a platform for communication.
Ah, you are brilliant. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and here you go now with Scott, right? Like, again, it's the systematic way. He's the programmer, but it's providing an opportunity for you, again, to have communication, even 10x. I'll say 12x. I love 12, right? Even 12x. That's really fascinating. I love that.
It's funny. 12 is my favorite number.
It is mine as well. It is mine.
Did you know 12? It's a perfect number.
It is.
I love that. Yeah. There's just so many permutations. Yeah. So we could do a whole podcast on this. How
we could
number 12 is.
We could do 120-minute conversation.
Yeah.
But if we fast forward to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
Yeah. So I had to do a little bit. This was one of the questions you had sent me ahead of time. And I looked up the charts. And so there's a song, Whoomp, There It Is by Tag Team.
Yeah.
And I remember for probably 6 months straight. So I grew up when there was just radio, right? Like, well, there was MTV and stuff. But so they played Top 8 at 8 o'clock every night. And so before I went to bed, like listened to the top 8 at 8 and I was like, what's the number one? And, the DJ was, kind of doing his thing and putting in his thoughts. And I just remember like getting so excited when it was, there it is. But I had no idea what the song was about. And so I was just singing it like as loud. And I thought it was like people got work done. Yeah. Like, whoa, there it is. I figured out the solution. And so I like singing. It wasn't until I was in like my teenage years, much later, than I realized what it was about. But there were a lot of really good kind of like dance songs in like 92, 93. Yeah, I liked like the Tootsie Roll. That was another one that came out around the same time. So that I liked a lot. So we would do really bad dancing, but it would be a lot of fun. So yeah.
I mean, whoop, there it is. Yeah. All right, my friend. Well, we've arrived at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready?
Okay.
Andrea, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to? Hit me yes or no.
Yeah.
Are you married? Yeah. Yes, he's there. Yes. He's right next door. Do you have children?
Yes.
Do you believe in God?
Yes, with qualifiers.
Okay. Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Yes.
What about screen time, the phone and the computer? Is it more than 8? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. If you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, Andrea Goulet, what would you say that is?
Yeah. So I would say it's my personal mission, which I kind of came down to me like a lightning rod when I was 25. And it is to rid the world of corporate babble.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Love
just
it.
Making stuff clear and easy to understand.
Yeah, I love it. Andrea, this has been a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Oh, well, just thank you for listening and believe in yourself and try new things. And it's amazing what can happen when you do.
Love it. Andrea Goulet, thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thanks, Angel.
You're welcome.
This segment has been brought to you by Amazel Enterprise.